Bright Tuty. Every student matters.
Hello children, welcome to the session. In this session, we are about to discuss the chapter which is changes around us. So students, don't you think it would be a fun thing if you achieve certain superpowers and you would be able to magically change the things around you as per your wish? So in real life, it might not be possible, but what is possible is observing changes. Yes, students, you can observe the changes around you, and these changes can be, for example, in the fields, crops changes from time to time, leaves changes the color and falls off, flowers bloom and then wither away, and your nails grow, your height grows, you become taller, you become fat. These are all the changes around yourself. These are all the changes around us. So students, you can observe these changes very easily, and we are going to study about these changes, whether these changes are reversible or irreversible. That is, can these changes be reversed or they cannot be reversed? For example, your height is increasing every day. So is it possible for you to go back to your original height? Definitely not. You cannot grow shorter. So students, growing of your height is an irreversible change, whereas growing of your nails. So students, these changes, so you can identify the changes around yourself as reversible or irreversible. For example, you have this piece of paper, and when you are folding it, is it reversible? Of course it is reversible, because you can anytime you can unfold it and you will obtain your original paper. But what if I tear this paper? See, after tearing it, can I get the initial paper back? No, definitely I cannot join it again. So tearing of paper is an irreversible change. So students, in this session we are about to study a large number of changes, and you will observe whether they are reversible or whether they are irreversible. So let us now move ahead. So we will move ahead with our activity number 1. You are going to take a balloon and you will blow it, and you have to make sure that it does not burst. Then you will observe that the shape and size of the balloon has changed. Initially, you would have observed your balloon, and after blowing it, you will observe that there is a change in its shape and size. Now, you will let the air escape from the balloon and now again observe its shape. And you will observe that this was a reversible change. Why? Because when you let the air escape out of the balloon regained its original shape and size. So let us now move ahead towards activity number 2. In this activity, as we have already discussed, you will take a piece of paper and fold it to form an aeroplane, or you can make a bird out of paper, or you can make a boat out of it. And now you will observe that the shape of the paper has been changed to the shape of an aeroplane, bird, or a boat. Now, after you have played with the aeroplane or the boat or the bird that you have created out of your paper, you will unfold the paper again, and you can see that folding of paper was again a reversible change. Okay students, reversible change. Now let us move ahead towards activity number 3. In this activity, you will take some dough. You have taken the dough and you will make a ball out of it, and now you will try to roll out a chapati out of this dough, and you can definitely change its shape if you don't like it. Now I would like you to recall all the 3 activities. The first activity was blowing a balloon and then letting the air escape out of it. Then second activity was that of folding a paper into a desired form of an aeroplane, boat, bird as per your wish. And finally, the third activity was rolling out a chapati. Now we have to think about a few questions. Let us see if we can answer these. First question asks us, was it possible to get the balloon back to its initial shape and size? Definitely yes, we were able to observe that after letting the air escape out of the balloon, we obtained the initial shape and size of the balloon. Second, was the size of the paper same as before and after making the aeroplane? Definitely, we had just folded the paper, and after unfolding the paper from the shape of aeroplane, the paper that we obtained was same as the paper that we have taken initially. Third, was it possible to obtain the ball of dough again? Yes, definitely, because we have just rolled the dough, then we can again roll it in the form of a dough. Then the last question asked us, what do you conclude after all the three activities? So students, we can conclude that all the three activities were reversible in nature. They were reversible. Okay students, so let us now move ahead towards the next activities or next set of changes that we are about to study. So we are going to take the same balloon that we have used in activity 1. We will blow it to its full size, making sure that it do not burst, and we will tie its mouth tightly so that air do not escape out of it. Now we will try to pick it with a pointy pencil or a needle like this. You can observe it from this picture, and you will observe that balloon burst. It will burst. So this is our activity number 4. Let us now move ahead towards next activity. And this activity is, you will take a piece of paper. You will cut the paper to the shape of the aeroplane. You will cut it with a pair of scissors. Okay students, this is our next activity. Now let us move towards the activity number 6. You had rolled out a chapati. Now you will bake this roti or chapati on a tawa or a saucepan. Okay students. Now we will ask you few questions that we have discussed for activities 1 to 3. Now we will refer to the same set of questions for activities 4, 5 and 6. So first question is, was it possible to get the balloon back to its original shape and size? No, not this time. Why? Because now the balloon has been bursted and now we cannot get the balloon back. So answer is no. Then second is, was the size of paper same as before and after making the aeroplane? No, definitely not. Answer is no, because now we have cut the paper using a pair of scissors to the shape of aeroplane. Now we cannot get the initial paper back. Next, was it possible to obtain the ball of dough again? No. Again, we cannot obtain the dough back because we have cooked the chapati, we have baked it, and now we cannot get the dough back. So, answer is no. And finally, what do you conclude after all these activities? We can conclude that all these activities, that is bursting of balloon, second was cutting of paper, and finally baking the chapati, all these three activities are irreversible in nature. Okay students, so we have understood which changes are reversible and which changes are irreversible, that is which changes are reversible and which changes are irreversible in nature. Let us now move ahead and study a few more of these changes. So some common changes. First change is, pencil and eraser when used for a long time, can their initial shape and size be recovered? So when you have been using a pencil and eraser for a long time, is it possible to obtain the initial size of pencil again? No, definitely not. You cannot obtain the same eraser and pencil again. You can buy a new one, but this one cannot be changed back to its initial shape and size, and so this change is irreversible change. Okay students, this is irreversible. Now let us move ahead towards the next type of change, and this change is potter shaping clay into a pot. So students, this has two stages. First is this stage, you can observe from picture wherein the potter is actually shaping his pot or the container, and at this stage this change is reversible because this clay is wet and can be molded into any shape. So this change is reversible, but once the potter bakes it and we have obtained a container like this, then it becomes an irreversible change because now we cannot change it to its initial form of clay, that is wet clay. So this has two stages. The wet stage was reversible and this stage is irreversible. Now move ahead towards the next change, which is boiling the eggs. And you can observe that the raw eggs are completely different from the boiled eggs, and you cannot get the raw eggs back after boiling it. And so this kind of changes, yes students, you are right, this kind of change is irreversible in nature. Let us move ahead towards next type of change, which is converting batter into idli. I'm sure that most of my students would love delicious idlis, but do you know that idlis are made out of batter, which looks something like this, as you can observe from the picture. And once this batter is converted into delicious idlis, can you get the batter back? No, definitely not. And this kind of change can be termed as irreversible change. So in general, you can observe students that once the food is cooked, you cannot get the raw food back. So cooking of food is an irreversible change. So let us move towards the next type of change, that is conversion of woolen yarn into knitted sweater. You might have observed your mothers, grandmothers knitting sweater from this wool, and after you have obtained this sweater, can you get the initial fiber which was wool back? Yes students, you can definitely get the wool back from the sweater. So this type of change is reversible in nature. Let us move ahead and study the next type of change, and we will observe that grains to flour. Once the grains are converted into flour, can it be reversed? No, definitely not. So this kind of change is irreversible. Now the next example is conversion of cold milk to hot milk. By heating the milk, providing heat energy, we obtain hot milk. And can this hot milk again be converted into cold milk? Yes, definitely we can convert it back by lowering the temperature or just placing the container of milk to a room temperature till it cools down, and we will obtain cool milk again. And if we have to obtain very cold milk, we will place it in refrigerator, and since it can be interconvertible, and since it can be reversed, so this type of change is reversible change. Now next, straight string to a coiled string. Yes students, straight string can be converted into coiled string by folding it, and again by unfolding it you can get the straight string back. So this kind of change is also reversible. Then bud to a flower. Suppose this is a bud and after some time it get converted into a flower, can you get the bud back after it has become a flower? No, you will not be able to obtain bud back from the flower. So this type of change is irreversible in nature. Then milk to paneer or cottage cheese is again an irreversible change. Why? Because you cannot obtain milk again from the cottage cheese. So this type of change is not reversible. Then we have cow dung to biogas. So biogas can definitely never be converted back to cow dung. So this type of change is also irreversible change. Next is a stretched rubber band to its original shape. Yes, a stretched rubber band, after removing the external strain or force, you can get the initial shape of the rubber band back. So this kind of change is reversible change. Then we have ice cream to its melted form. ice cream when melted can be again cooled or freezed. We can again freeze it back to its solid form, and this type of change is again reversible change. So students, I hope that you would have understood the concept of change, what are changes, then you would have understood what are reversible changes and what are irreversible changes. Thank you for your attention.